Hi, folks. It's Carl. Hope you're doing well. I'm actually in Austin, Texas right now. I am driving to give a sushi class, and then I'm giving a cultural presentation on Japanese culture in about 4 hours. And I figured I would use the presentation I'm giving tonight for a quick video for all of you about things about the Japanese culture you probably don't know. Ready to test your knowledge? Here we go.
Bet you didn't know number 1, the blue sake bullseye. When it comes to sake, lots of people enjoy drinking it, but only a small percentage of them really know a great deal about it. Well, the sake cup that most people use to drink it with is called a choko, sometimes referred to as ochoko. Anyway, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes you might notice this kind of bullseye on the bottom of the choko. It's a few circles resembling a bullseye at the bottom of the cup. In fact, when you see this design, the choko will almost always be white and the rings will usually be blue. Well, it's not there for decoration. In fact, it's a helpful tool for sake fanatics. You see, two of the most notable sake characteristics is color and clarity. When serious sake lovers compare one to the other, this bullseye image allows them to judge and compare the clarity of the sake, and the clean, bright white color of the choko gives the person the opportunity to gauge the tint or color. I own a number of these chokos. Now, I will pour a totally different sake into each one. This can be very helpful. Look at the differences here. It's much easier to evaluate and recognize the contrast in color and clarity. And that's what the blue bullseyes are for. Bet you didn't know number 2, the Try Before You Die Festival. While many of us avoid thinking about death, the Japanese have a festival that's all about it. The annual Shukatsu Festival fills in Japan every year, teaching people about the unpredictability of death and making the necessary arrangements long in advance. The festival occurs in Tokyo, and people are actually taught how to prepare for their death. No, I am not kidding. This includes lessons of psychological preparation, testing out your own future coffin, and even attending an example of what your very own funeral will look like. I'm totally serious. You can even sample your own funeral hairstyle options, attend how-to seminars on building your own coffin in advance at home. And if this doesn't ensure that they will be fully geared preparing for their final day, I don't know what will. Bet you didn't know number 3, standing-only noodle shops. There are some parts of Japan that have common customs and courtesies to help the population. For example, Tokyo, Japan's entire metropolitan population, referred to as Kanto, the whole area, contains about 37.2 million people. Think about that for a second. The city of Chicago, Illinois, 8.9 million. The city of New York, 19.6 million. And again, Tokyo, 37.2 million people. And that's going to require modifications to handle the dense population. And one way they do it is standing-only restaurants. This way, you pay, you order, you eat, you leave. The best example of this is their ramen and soba noodle shops. In bigger cities like Tokyo and Osaka, some ramen shops provide standing-only dining. When you're done with your meal, you walk away. No confusion, no fuss. Bet you didn't know number 4, Japanese mailing addresses, streets with no names. With the exception of major roads, Japanese streets are not named. Instead, cities and towns are divided into areas, sub-areas, and measured blocks, similar to the way that islands were identified within the Roman Empire. It's called the insulae system, and to make this issue even more crazy, houses within each sub-area were not formally numbered in a geographical sequence, but in the sequential order in which they were built. I'm not kidding. For most mindsets, this changes everything around. In fact, when people try to fill out address forms, it can be complicated for a newbie. When addresses are written in Japanese, they start with the postal code, followed by the prefecture, the city, the sub-area, and end with the recipient's name. But if addresses are written in English, they start with the recipient's name and end with the prefecture and postal code. Oh, and by the way, speaking of oddities within the Japanese postal system, just off the coast of a small town in the Wakayama prefecture, there is an underwater post box, which is an actual collection point for the postal system in Susami, Japan. The mail is collected from a box every day by a deep-sea diving postman. Bet you didn't know number 5, Beethoven, Japan, and New Year's Eve. Most of you probably don't know that I am a fanatic of Beethoven. And if you ever find yourself in Japan during the end of December, there's a good chance you will hear Beethoven's Ninth Symphony all over the place, with an exceptionally rousing ode to joy, especially when welcoming the new year. While Beethoven's enthusiastic reception in Japan may seem out of place, there's a great reason for its popularity here. According to conductor Yutaka Sado, the seeds of this relationship were planted way back in World War I at the Bando POW camp in Tokushima, Japan. Interred German prisoners would often play music and create small performances for the inmates, and Beethoven's Ninth Symphony was a favorite. When the war was over, the Germans put on a performance of Beethoven's Ninth outside of their former prison walls.
So I'm curious, how many did you actually know? I'm really curious. Leave a comment in the comment section. I would love to know how many you did and did not know about. Anyway, many more videos to come. I'm working on some videos about sushi, about sake, and the Japanese culture, but I thought I would input this one really quick because it was so easy and fun to do. And as always, thank you for watching.